Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. This is the Spread Zone, the show that is here for one reason, to find value and get you paid. So we've got a monster slate for you guys today. So we have the 2026 Travelers Championship.
Yes.
The final, Tim, the final signature event of the year.
Yeah.
We've got FIFA World Cup bets, futures, and today's board. And NFL offseason props, Super Bowl, MVP, win totals. Right, Anthony?
Yeah, let's take a look at the market and how it's being set right now.
Tim McKernan, Anthony Stalter. My name is Riz. Fellas, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it, I say.
All right, quick housekeeping. We're recording on Wednesday, June 24th at noon Central, so by the time you hear this, odds may move. And all lines we mentioned are through FanDuel, and you should always double-check the number in the app before you click place bet. All right, so Tim, Travelers Championship week. So picture it, TPC River Highlands, Cromwell, Connecticut,
Sure.
packed galleries, tree-lined corridors, and then that iconic finishing run where everything tightens up and the water starts staring back at you. So this tournament lives on Sunday back nine pressure, from what I'm understanding. So, and it's still that signature event vibe, top heavy field, stars everywhere, and you're basically betting on who can go low while avoiding one catastrophic splash on the way home.
Sure. Tommy Fleetwood last year on the verge of a great win and then had issues a couple years ago. And then Keegan Bradley snuck it up and got him. Tommy Fleetwood's been playing very well. Riz, we were both on him for the U.S. Open. He lurked, but he never surged. It was always Wyndham Clark's time until the final few holes. And it's because of what we saw with the drama of the final few holes that I have a couple plays before I give you who I think is going to win this. I think what you see more often than not, gentlemen, with players coming off of incredible success at a major that is quite grueling for not just the winner, but also the player that was on the verge of breaking through, is the inevitable, because golf is such a mental game, let down when you have to go out and you have to play and try to match that intensity just 72 to 96 hours later. Mm-hmm. It's just not the way that it works for most people. Now, a couple of years ago, we saw Scotty Scheffler win the Masters, and then he would go and drive a couple hours to the south and win at Hilton Head at the RBC Heritage. But Scotty Scheffler, Tiger Woods, those are different kinds of creatures. So I want to give you a couple plays before we even talk about a winner here, all right? And my plays are as follows. These are first-round plays, so you get instant gratification. I want to give you dopamine hits on a Thursday.
Tournament starts tomorrow.
That's right. All right, here's what I'm going to go with. Wyndham Clark, he won the U.S. Open. His round one score is set as an over-under of 67.5. That is a low number.
So that's 3 under, right? It's a par 70?
That's correct. I am going to take you over 67.5 on Wyndham Clark. And I am also going to take you over first round score of 66.5 for the gentleman who was thinking that he had posted the low number that would force Wyndham Clark to either birdie or par his way out. He bogeyed on 17, and that is Sam Burns. He thought he rolled in on 18, and it lipped out. He was stunned. Sam Burns, usually a stoic player on the golf course, emotional on the 72nd hole at Shinnecock, and then emotional in his post-game presser. And while this is a signature event, the reality is it does not carry along the same prestige of winning a major. That's just the nature of the beast, especially for guys that are sitting on significant dollars. The dollars that they could win this week aren't going to change their lives. Therefore, Wyndham Clark over 67.5 and Sam Burns over 66.5 in their round one scores. I love it. I love it.
As far as overall winner goes, Scotty Scheffler's in a league of his own as far as, he's plus 390 to win, followed by Fleetwood at plus 1,600.
Tommy Fleetwood nearly got a win there before. Here is where I'm going to tell you. Scotty Scheffler continues. I'm sure the outside observer goes, well, he's just not having a good year. But he's there every single time. The question is, do you get the value on Scheffler? So that's where we get into the question. So Scheffler to win, Riz, that's one conversation. But now we can get into the top five. Top five, he's minus 105. I like that play. You're borderline even money. I think that is a really rock solid play because to get top 10, you're paying 2-1 to get it. He's minus 210. Top 20 is really a non-starter. It's minus 550. Here is where I would say you can get some value on a couple names that may seem like their best days may be behind them, but they're in form and they've had success at this golf course, and you can get great value on them. Patrick Cantlay and Justin Thomas. They are both plus money for top 20s. I love that. As a matter of fact, if you just want to go, you know what? I need a sweat this weekend. The NBA Finals are over.
Right.
The Stanley Cup Finals are over. I was watching SportsCenter 2 nights ago, and they spent, I'm not BSing you, the first 35 minutes on the Giannis trade. I don't think that happens in a football-type season of the calendar. So, you need a sweat? Fine, I'll give it to you. Fine, I'll do it. You asked for it, I'm going to do it. Anthony, this is where you're going to go, and go ahead and go heavy on it. Here's where you're going. You're going to pair that over on the first round scores of the Burns and Clark plays, along with Justin Thomas and Patrick Cantlay to get in there and get yourself the top 20 finish, and you are going to be paid handsomely on that. That is going to pay you 24-1,
nice,
essentially, on your money. That is how you can make yourself an exciting little afternoon for both Sunday and then the sweat you get on the first round.
Can I throw a couple names out?
Sure, fire away.
And maybe you'll tell me if this is dumb or okay. So
no dumb thoughts, Riz.
I'm looking at value here. Ben Griffin to win at plus 5,000.
Okay.
Or top 5 is plus 750. Or Brian Harmon, top 10 at plus 330. These are some names I'm seeing as hey, maybe take a look at these guys for this weekend.
Yeah, Brian Harmon, I like that play. I like Brian Harmon.
Yeah, and then there's your hold your nose but don't be stupid angle if you're playing a chalk outright. Scheffler is the guy outright at plus 390. And I'm looking maybe to fade Cam Young.
You're on a Cam Young fade?
Yeah, this weekend. Saw a lot of chatter this week that people are skeptical on Cam Young.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. He had been in great form, didn't necessarily have a wonderful U.S. Open, certainly was a focus there. New York guy, but had only played Shinnecock one time going into that tournament. The U.S. Open, and it's nothing against Wyndham Clark. It's the way that golf tournaments oftentimes work, in particular the British Open, with when you get to go out on the golf course. And Wyndham Clark was the beneficiary of going out at a time when the wind was down on Thursday afternoon, and he used that margin to carry it through the weekend. But that's the way that golf works. Wyndham Clark, the target of many fans on Long Island.
Yes, their ire.
Their ire, that's exactly right. And so I feel like that in part is being ignored, that is relatively commonplace for somebody to be.
Hostile crowd.
I'm telling you.
That Shinnecock, huh?
So if you include, by the way, you could include Scheffler on a top 5 to go with that as well. I love that because that is basically even money. So those are my plays. As far as the winner this week, it's tough coming off a signature event because when people are really dialed in for the U.S. Open or really dialed in for the Masters, and then they got to play and dial it up yet again, it's tough to handicap it. I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick, though, as my winner.
The outright
plus
win.
2,200. Matt Fitzpatrick plus 2,200 as my outright winner for the 2026 Travelers.
All right. Anthony, anything on the Travelers?
No. So I like what you guys done here. Tim, you've broken it down perfectly.
As always.
Yeah,
as always.
I'm trying to keep the streak alive.
Riz, you kept a couple of names that you booted, a couple of names that you like.
Yeah.
I feel like people are really ready for this weekend.
Yeah.
Any head-to-head stuff you're seeing?
I was specifically looking, it's funny you asked that, Anthony. I was specifically looking to take whoever would be opposite Burns and opposite Wyndham Clark.
Okay.
And it's not a coincidence that the people at the books are one step ahead because they are not currently available.
But something to keep an eye on.
But if it is made available, it would be something to take a look at. I'm high on Justin Thomas. I said that earlier. And Riz, if you're seeing people shorting the Cam Young market, Justin Thomas and Cam Young are the matchups, at least for the first round, and that's about even. Scotty Scheffler and Tommy Fleetwood are the matchups as well, but no Wyndham Clark, no opportunity on Wyndham Clark to short him or Sam Burns as of right now. These things, of course, can change, as we've noted.
Well, tomorrow morning it starts. That's the Travelers.
Yes, indeed.
And by Sunday afternoon, somebody standing over a putt with the water lurking, the crowd leaning in.
Put them to the test.
All right, exactly let's take a quick break. Of course, today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. All our lines come from FanDuel, and they can move, so check the app before you bet. All right, we come back. We talk World Cup bets, futures props, and what we like today on the Spread Zone. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone, World Cup time. This is not a regular season road match in February. This is compressed drama. Short tournament, heavy legs, one weird bounce, one early card, and your whole group flips. So tomorrow is the USA Turkey match. Tim, if you remember last week, now, Anthony, you were not here.
Oh, I remember this. I was going to give you your
USA,
props.
Australia.
You called it. And I have some friends who we were watching the game together, and the United States scored super early, their own goal by their opposition, just like with Paraguay. And one of the guys I was sitting next to goes, ooh, this could be tough for that under now that they've scored so early. And I go, oh, Spread Zone, guys. Yeah. That wasn't my play. That was Riz's play.
Nice.
He was on the under of 2.5, Anthony.
Beautiful.
And he had his reasoning.
2-0.
2-0.
Ship it.
Got it.
Well played, sir. So you are our soccer wizard.
Lucky. All right, so as of today, June 24th, we've got real movement on the board. So FanDuel winner odds as of today. France, the tournament favorite, plus 370. Spain, plus 500. England, plus 600. Argentina, plus 700. Portugal, Brazil, and then the USA, plus 3,300. So, and you could feel, it in the stadiums right now. Every anthem is louder. Every corner kick feels like it's, worth 5 minutes of your life. And I think it's pretty exciting watching some of these matches.
I absolutely love it. The intensity. And it's only going to ratchet up here when we get to the knockout round.
Yeah, your thoughts, Anthony, on any of this World Cup stuff?
Well, the most interesting conversation moving forward now is how do these teams play this third game when they're already guaranteed to be in the knockout round.
Oh, you mean the dead rubbers?
The dead rubbers.
The dead rubbers,
as Tim told us during our break, that's not what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Specifically with the U.S., you're
zero upside.
Yeah, you're guaranteed. And now you get into the coaching philosophy of, do you want to play your guys, keep the momentum, or do you risk, is that too big of an injury?
Can I give you my
Please
thoughts
do.
are for
Okay,
tomorrow?
what do you got?
Yes.
So if we're going to bet the USA Turkey game tomorrow, it's a 9:00 Central Time start. So if you want a clean slate, a clean way to play this game without having
can't say clean slate.
Yeah, without having to pick a side.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's clean sheet.
Darn it. Here's the angle I keep coming back to. So last week it was the under 2.5. I'm going to go the over 2.5.
Interesting.
At plus 100. So here's the game script. Turkey has had a brutal tournament, and they're basically playing for pride at this point. But this is in a team that is this team doesn't really, really suck. They've got guys who could create chances and make the match uncomfortable for the U.S. And it's hard for me to see them leaving the World Cup without putting one goal in the net. They have not scored yet in the World Cup. Now, on the U.S. side, they've already put themselves in a great position in the group. They're through to the next round, which means you'll see some rotation. You'll see some starters not starting. Some experimenting, maybe a couple guys trying to prove they deserve minutes. And the key part is this is being played at SoFi Stadium in front of a home crowd that's paid to see goals. So not a 0-0 chess match. So if Turkey comes out aggressive and the U.S. is still pushing forward, this can open up fast. That's why I like both teams to score over 2.5 goals at plus money, plus 100.
I like that.
All right.
Riz, don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have the FanDuel numbers for a draw in that game?
I don't. We could look that up real quick.
I'd be more than happy to acquire that information.
Yeah,
you think that's live, Mr. Stalter?
I'd be interested because, like you're talking about, Riz, the U.S. probably not going to play all their guys. I got it right here, plus 300.
Right.
I think there's some value in that. I think it could be a 2-2. Hopefully we get the over. So I'll give you a 2-2. Not that we want this because Riz just gave out the over, but I could see a 1-1 tie. I could see this being a situation where both teams, at some point kind of pop this thing into neutral and park the bus. And plus 300, there's some value there.
I was watching England play. Was it Senegal yesterday? Was it England-Senegal?
I believe so.
Was that the match? And Senegal was England was a
England-Ghana
was a huge favorite. Huge favorite. I got my FanDuel app open. I'm like, the juice ain't worth the squeeze, and they wind up, going to a draw yesterday. So this is that kind of tournament,
right?
Where listen, anything could happen.
Yeah, there was a Ghanaian witch doctor who, of course, put a curse on Harry Kane to forbid him from scoring. And it did work, so you want to monitor what he's doing. And then also he has removed the curse going forward, so now you can bet on Harry Kane to score goals and feel comfortable
That's
that
nice.
The curse has been removed. So this is kind of inside information that Sam Ace Rothstein used in casino that I have for you on this podcast, where the Ghanaian witch doctors are.
Now, if you're still looking to pick like a tournament winner, obviously, France at plus 370. It's not a cute pick. It's a do they have a roster to survive?
Erling Haaland himself, who's got to play him, says they're going to win the thing. How about that?
Maybe if you want to take a chance, Netherlands to win at plus 1700. If the bracket breaks right and they're clinical, we're live with the Netherlands.
I like it. How do you guys attack if you have? How have you guys attacked the live plays when it comes to the World Cup? Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, there was a game a couple days ago. You're talking, Riz, about how dominant France is, and that's why they are the favorite. We went into this with Spain as the favorite, and they had their issues with Capo Verde, which then set the stage for France. Again, another draw. It's unbelievable. It's fun to watch. France and Iraq a couple days ago. That was the game where they had the rain delay in Philadelphia.
Rain delay,
To watch that, and I don't know how much, whether it be like a high school soccer game, if you've seen that, or a college soccer game, where the talent disparity is so great that the opposition can't even get the ball on their boot. That's what we had, and it was clear. Mbappe scores relatively early on an incredible goal that Iraq would just have absolutely no chance. France is already up, and sure enough, that game wound up being a sweat-free. You can see it early on, and then especially from a live betting standpoint, Anthony, if a team that has that talent disparity, and you're probably not going to see much more of that because they're going to start to get into the knockout round, and they're in a spot where they can, as you said, park the bus, that can be where you can either take advantage of a live total or a money line play, because it's over. Now, you got to have a team with the quality of play like France against a team that probably isn't necessarily within the same, stratosphere as Iraq going up against France. But that was an example where I'm going, my goodness, they can't even get the ball. They can't even get possession of the ball, much less get in a scoring opportunity.
Did you lean more team total for France then?
I lean more on team total for France because it's crystal clear that, okay, we've got it. We don't want to get hurt. Our goal isn't to beat Iraq. Our goal is to advance, wrap up the group, and move on. So you're in a weird spot now, as we made reference to. You have some teams who have zero incentive to play guys, the United States being one. It's a really random spot. Great spot to be in if you're American.
Then you got a team like Turkey who's looking for a prize.
So I do wonder about that. But here's the thing. You're not going to necessarily see your regular American starters. I'd be shocked if you saw Christian Pulisic, but then at the same time, he hasn't played in a while. I don't know. I'd be shocked. I'd be disappointed if you saw him to take that risk on, considering the momentum the team has, the interest the team's getting now nationally. At the same time, you are going to get guys who are going to get to play in the World Cup who probably didn't think they were going to get many minutes going into this thing, but because of the way the United States dominated Paraguay and Australia, they have that position. So therefore, picture yourself in that mindset of, I didn't think I was going to get to play. Now I get to play in a World Cup game and accumulate material minutes, and we're kind of freed up. That's why I like where you're coming from with the total. because I think you're going to have a Turkey team that's like, okay, we got nothing to lose. And you're going to have American players that are like, we want some minutes. We got to flash while we have the opportunity.
And at SoFi
it sets the
Stadium.
stage.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that play.
All right, we'll take another quick break. Of course, the Spread Zone sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. All lines were using our FanDuel numbers, and they could move fast, especially during the World Cup and leading into PGA Tee time. Coming up next, Anthony Stalter and NFL off-season props. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone. Anthony, we're talking NFL off-season futures. What are we talking today?
So we're ahead of the game here. Obviously, we're a couple of months away from the regular season. Yep. We're about a month away from training camps.
Yeah.
And I still see a lot of good value on the board. I'm not going to take anything that's minus 150, higher than minus 150. We're looking hopefully more for plus odds. I know a lot of people don't want to dedicate any sort of bankroll to future plays because obviously you may not get paid for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But this is where the odds are.
Listen, let me look at my FanDuel.
Take a look. Look at the old bankroll.
This is where I think you really can build some profit because you got the larger sample size.
Yep.
I still got the Rams as the NFC Championship winner.
And
plus 310.
Okay, so perfect example. You got them at plus 310. I'm looking at the Rams right now to win the NFC, not the Super Bowl, but the NFC.
It's the NFC. I got them to win the NFC
at plus 290. So this is a perfect example of Riz getting a better line early.
Yeah,
you're still getting plus value at plus 290, which is nice. But once the season starts and the Rams win a couple of games, that number is going to drop dramatically.
Yeah, I placed that bet on June 2nd.
Good for you. So
that
Sharp
was play right after the trade.
Right after the trade.
That was 2.5 weeks ago, roughly after they traded for Myles Garrett.
Yep.
And the numbers already dropped, not significantly, but it did drop. A couple of plays that I'm looking at early on here. The Ravens to win the AFC North is only minus 115. So you're not getting burned badly by taking the best team in that division. Could the Bengals win it with Joe Burrow? Certainly. I still don't like their defense compared to Baltimore. And I think people are a little bit down on Lamar Jackson and Baltimore because, John Harbaugh was essentially let go. But Jesse Minter is going to have that defense playing outstanding. He's one of the better defensive minds in football. And that team is built for the regular season because of the way that Lamar Jackson runs and his dynamic playmaking ability. Who in that division is going to sneak up on you? Cleveland certainly will not. They're going back to Deshaun Watson likely. And then Pittsburgh is running it back with Aaron Rodgers. Cincinnati's the biggest threat, but I think Baltimore at minus 115 is a great play. I don't love that as much as I love Houston at plus 135. They've got the best defense in the league, let alone the AFC, let alone in their division. I realize that what does everybody remember? C.J. Stroud completely
debacle in the playoffs,
completely wet in the bed in the playoffs. And it's not that he didn't just play well in New England. He didn't play well the week before in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
But I'm not ready to write off C.J. Stroud as the second coming of whatever tease that you liked early on in his career and then fade off. They're plus 135 to win the AFC South. Jacksonville is going to be good. Indianapolis has all kinds of question marks at the quarterback position with Daniel Jones having the Achilles injury. We've seen recent quarterbacks not bounce back from the Achilles injury. I don't like them. And Tennessee's still got a long way to go in their rebuild. So I like Houston at plus 135 to win their division. I'm staying away from the AFC West. There's too much, fluidity when it comes to what Patrick Mahomes' injury situation is going to be. I love Denver, but I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be healthy. Sean Payton, the Broncos, announced that Nix had another surgery on his leg, so I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be healthy and ready to rock. So I'm going to stay away from there. Another value though, how about the Eagles at plus 135? Plus 135 to win that division. I think Washington's going to stink again. I don't see a rebound unless Jaden Daniels is Superman. Ain't going to happen. Giants could be better, but not that much better. And Dallas is the big threat there. But at plus 135, Riz, I like the Eagles to win that division.
Just in doing my research, a win total that jumped out on me from FanDuel is Eagles over 10.5 wins at plus 120.
Bank it.
Bank it?
Yes.
And I'm looking at it right now, Riz, and I see they're over 9.5 wins, and I realize you're paying a price for it, but over 9.5 wins is minus 135. And if you get to play 3 teams that you're not particularly high, certainly on 2 of them, we'll see what happens with one of them.
Sure.
In addition to the opportunities, now minus 135 to get 10 wins, that stands out to me. And if you can get plus money, they get 11 wins. That market could be intriguing. And then alongside that, you mentioned the Ravens at the outset to win the AFC North, and you can get them and their win total and capitalize on that. Over 10.5 wins for the Baltimore Ravens is minus 150.
Well, that's why I like that Eagles pick, because you're getting plus money on an 11-win season.
Right. For a team that is going to be in a division that could be juicy.
Right.
And, the Ravens fall into that category as well.
So they got to win 11.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I hate playing the schedule game because there's just so much that we don't know. But if you sweep Washington, you sweep the Giants, that's 4. You split with Dallas, that's 5. Now, I'm not saying that those are guaranteed. They got Tennessee early. So that's 6 right there. They do have the Bears. They do have the Rams, although they host the Rams, and the Rams have not beaten the Eagles in Philly in quite a while. They've had multiple opportunities. They almost did it last year, but the Eagles came back. They had the blocked field goal at the end, and one of their DTs brought it back for a touchdown. I think they can beat the Steelers. That's 7. I think they could beat the Jaguars. That's 8. They got the Arizona Cardinals and Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, you're looking at 9 wins right there. Yeah. I like it, boys. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about FanDuel's early board for MVP? You know, Josh Allen is the favorite at plus 600. Lamar, 750. I like Drake May at plus 850 for MVP.
I'm going to fade New England this year because, a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe it's going to be the Mike Vrabel situation. I couldn't care less about that. The loser in the Super Bowl is usually the one that you got to worry about with the hangover.
Well, I'm telling you.
Not the winner. The loser, certainly not every time. But the loser in the Super Bowl has a tendency to take a massive step back. So I understand where you're going, Riz, with the value in that. And if New England has another good year, I mean, look, they got the coaching. They do have the QB. They added A.J. Brown, so I can see him putting up some big-time numbers this year. I certainly understand where you're going with that. I don't know if there's a ton of value right now in any of those MVPs. Some of the regular season numbers, a couple of players I like. I think that Bijan Robinson's going to have a massive year. Now you're going to be paying. You're going to be paying for any sort of his like season-long props, but I think he could have an outstanding season. And the Detroit Lions, they're going to play a last-place schedule.
Yeah.
They finished last year in the NFC North. You look at some of those guys, whether it's Jared Goff, maybe some of his passing numbers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he has a monster year. I'm looking at it right now to get his over on his receiving yards. 12, it's 1,225.5, so he's got to get to 1,230. I'm in. I'm in for that. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, could have an outstanding year, especially with David Montgomery no longer there. So those are a couple of teams that I like. I like your Eagles thought as well, Riz.
Okay.
As far as Super Bowl, I mean, you still get the Rams at plus 550, boys. At some point, they're going to be minus odds. I guarantee you.
Oh, is that right?
Now's the time.
Try and get it now.
Patriots is plus 1,700
to win it all.
Couple bucks there.
How about the Lions at plus? Can I interest you in the Lions at plus 1,700? Same price.
Who would you rather take?
I'm taking the Lions. Last place schedule. Patriots going to play a first place schedule. I think that's something that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah.
And I think there's value too in Houston.
Yeah.
People are going to think I'm crazy because of the CJ Stroud effect, but they're plus 1,900. So are the Eagles for that matter. There's some value on the board in these off-season plays. Then we get to training camp, you got to worry about injuries and all that.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Maybe we'll do this each and every week, and I'll record some of our plays.
I love that it's not even July yet, and we're talking. Come on,
talking football
stuff. Yeah. All right, fellas. I think that's it.
There it is.
I think that's the show. Traveler starts tomorrow morning. We're looking for a Sunday sweat at River Highlands. World Cup is ripping right now. We got futures and we got today's props, and the NFL market is sitting there like a buffet.
Yeah, feast on your buffet.
You just have to pick the plates with value, guys.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks to our sponsor, FanDuel. All lines through FanDuel, and always they're subject to change. For Tim McKernan and Anthony Stalter, my name is Riz. This is The Spread Zone, and let's have a profitable week.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.